Good morning, third grade. You are so kind. Well, you are in general, but you are so kind because you're going to help Sam bake today. Thank you so much. So, what am I talking about? Well, let's turn to page 518 in your book and see what I am talking about. You'll see Sam there with his red bowl and his whisk, and he is about to make muffins, but he needs to know how many eggs to use. Okay? All right, are you on page 518? All right, so last time we talked about sets of things. Like, remember, we talked about the whole group of kids. I believe there were 12 of them, and 1/3 of them were girls and 2/3 of them were boys. And so 4 of them were girls and 8 of them were boys, I believe. Okay. So we're going to talk about how to find out the fraction of a whole number. Okay. So let's look at page 518 and start figuring it out. Okay. It says Sam used 1/3 of a carton of eggs. Okay, this is a carton of eggs. All right. I know what you're thinking. Mrs. Blair, don't you have chickens? Why are you buying eggs? Well, we have 2 chickens and we have 8 people in our family. Okay, so 2 chickens, they each lay 1 egg a day. So that means we get 2 eggs a day from our chickens. That is not enough for our family. So we have to go and buy, we do eat their eggs, but we have to go and buy eggs also. Okay, so Sam, and good thing since we need to do this problem today, Sam used 1/3 of a carton of eggs to make muffins. There were 12 eggs in the carton. Okay, that's pretty typical. 12 eggs in a carton of eggs. Okay, how many eggs did he use? So we need to divide this carton of eggs into 3 sets. Okay, so we have 1 set, 2 sets, 3 sets. So each set has 4 eggs in it. Okay, I'm not going to draw on the eggs, but I'll draw on the carton. Okay, so we have 3 sets, and each set has 4 eggs in it. Okay, so remember we said that the fraction sign can also mean out of. Okay, so 1 out of 3 sets, okay, of eggs he used. So this carton is divided into thirds, 3 sets, 1, 2, 3, and he used 1 of these sets. So we need to find out how many eggs did Sam have to use. So we need to find 1/3 of 12. Okay. Oops. Okay, so 1/3 of 12. One-third of 12. This class so far has been one big blooper. Okay, 1/3 of 12. So we have 12 eggs, 3 sets of eggs. Okay, and we need to circle 1 of them. So 1/3 of 12 equals 4 eggs. So another way to do that besides circling and drawing is that we could do 12 divided by 3. Okay, 12 divided by 3, because you have 12 eggs, 3 sets, so 12 divided by 3 equals 4. So we know that each set has 4 in it. So Sam used 4 eggs for his muffins. I think he's making a lot of muffins. All right. Let's see, example B. 1/4 of 20. Okay, 1/4 of 20. So what you show is you have 20 divided into 4 groups. Okay, 20 divided into 4 groups. So maybe he's making 20 blueberry muffins, and he's gonna put the blueberries on the top. Okay, so he wants to put, what am I trying to say? Okay, so let's say that these are blueberries. Okay, so 20 blueberries, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, and we're dividing them into 4 equal groups because we're finding 1/4 of 20. Okay, so what is 20 divided by 4? 5. So it's going to be 5 in each group. Okay, so those are blueberries. Okay, so there's 5 in each group. So 1/4 of 20 equals 5, because 1/4 of the group, 1 out of the 4 groups, is 5. So we can say he is going to make 4 large, huge muffins. You know, the kind that you get, not the kind you get at Dunkin' Donuts or anything, but a massive muffin. And he's going to put 1/4 of the blueberries on each muffin. Okay, so he's making 4 massive muffins. How many blueberries? Giant blueberries he's going to put on the top of each muffin? 5. So he's going to put 1/4 of each. He's going to put 1/4 of each of the 20 blueberries on each muffin. Okay. All right. So let's go down to talk about it. In example B, why do you divide 20 into 4 groups? To show fourths, because you're trying to find out 1 out of 4 groups. How could you draw a picture to find 1/3 of 15? Same thing, you would draw 15 objects and divide it into 3 equal groups. All right, so let's look at check. And you're going to be doing the same thing in practice today. So let's look at check to see if you understand, because it's very similar to your practice. Okay, I need to find 1/3 of 15 grapes. So the 2 ways to do it: 15 divided by 3 is 5. Okay, and so 1/3 of 15 equals 5. Okay, if you look at the grapes, they're into 3 groups. Okay, and you're circling 1 of the 3 groups, and there's 5 in each group. Okay, number 2, find 1/2 of 12 peanuts. So if you have 12 peanuts and you put them into 2 equal groups, you're going to have 12 divided by 2, 6 in each group. So 1/2 of 12 equals 6. All right, number 3, number sense. To find 1/3 of 21, what 2 numbers should you divide? Then find the answer. Right, 21, that's the total, divided by 3 equals 7. So 1/3, 1 out of the 3 groups of 21 equals 7. All right, so you're going to do the same thing for your homework, which is 519, practice odd, so A and B. Okay, and then for tomorrow, you're going to be doing 521, practice A and B odd, and mixed review and test prep. So let's look at page 520 to see what you'll be doing. Okay, so adding and subtracting fractions. All right, so we are going to be talking about some very interesting things like least common multiple, least common denominator, greatest common factor, things like that. But for right now, all I need you to know is that when you add and subtract fractions, the denominators have to be the same because you have to be working with the same type of fraction, okay? So let's say that again. If you are adding and subtracting fractions, the denominator has to be the same. All right, so now that we know the denominator has to be the same, when you add and subtract fractions, this is so important. So important. You only add and subtract the numerators. The denominators stay the same. What am I saying? Okay, so let's say I have 5, 6 plus 1, 6. Okay, that's gonna come out to a whole number. Okay, 5, 6 plus 1, 6. I do not add 6 plus 6. Those stay the same, okay, because this is 5 out of 6 plus 1 out of 6. So it's going to become 6 out of 6. And what does that equal? If the numerator and denominator are the same, what does that equal? 1 whole, okay? So let's say I have 5, 6 minus 1, 6. Again, I'm only subtracting the numerator. The denominator stays the same because I'm working with sixths, okay? So 5 6 minus 1 6 equals 4 sixths. And that's actually not the smallest that it can be because I can divide the top and bottom by 2. So 4 sixths is the same as 2 thirds. So the answer would be 2 thirds when it's reduced to its lowest term. Okay, so when you're adding and subtracting fractions, the denominator has to be the same because you can't add halves and thirds. The denominator has to be the same, but when you add or subtract fractions, you only add and subtract the numerator. Once you find out the denominator is the same, you only add or subtract the numerator, okay? All right, so let's look at 520, and this is going to be using fraction strips. All right, so I have quarter strips here, okay? So I'm going to add, my addition problem for right now is going to be 1/4 plus 2/4, okay? So I have 1/4 plus 2/4, okay? So I am dealing with fourths or quarters, okay? So 1/4 plus 2/4 equals 3/4. You don't add the denominators, you only add the numerator. So 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 3. So 1/4 plus 2/4 equals 3/4. All right? So you only add the numerators. And what has to be the same? The denominators. I'm not going to add fifths and fourths because they're not the same size. Okay? All right, but what if I am adding fifths? Let's say I'm going to add 1/5 plus 3/5. 1/5 plus 3/5. I have 1/5 and I have 3/5. Okay, 1/5 plus 3/5 equals 4/5. All right, so see, I did not change the denominator. I kept the denominator as fifths. All right, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4 fifths, 4 out of 5. Okay, get it? All right, what if I added another fifth? Okay, if I add another fifth, now I have 5/5. And what is 5/5 the same as? Let's see. So I have 1/5. This stuff's easier to do in the classroom. 1/5, 2/5, we'll get the 5/5 off the floor. 5/5. Look at this. It equals 1 whole. Okay, 5/5 is the same as 1 whole. Okay. All right. So let's remember again. You can add and subtract fractions, but the denominator has to be the same. And when you add and subtract fractions, you only add or subtract the numerators. All right, so I will see you in a few minutes for tomorrow's homework, which goes with this lesson. You are going to do 521 practice odd. 521 practice odd. All right? Okay. Don't forget to have your quiz with you and a colored pencil, crayon, marker, etc., etc., etc. All right. See you in a minute. Bye.